Hello, and welcome to the Game On podcast. My name is Adam Bello. I am the CEO and co-founder of Breakout EDU, but I'm also a father, a serial edtech entrepreneur, and an advocate for positive change in the classroom. Each episode of the Game On podcast is going to feature a new voice from someone who's making an amazing impact and helping to pave the way for the future of education. We're going to get to explore their ideas and opinions, as well as learn from those successes and failures from these amazing educational gurus. All right, let's get started. All right, welcome to the Game On podcast. I'm your host, Adam Bello, and I am so excited to be joined by an absolutely incredible person and someone who I am very, very lucky to call a dear friend, who we've known each other for 15 years, the one and only Kari Stubbs. So Kari, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast today.
I am absolutely delighted to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Of course. Yes, I always say that, like, what's that?
We go way back.
We do go way back. We met when we were 10. And so we've known each other 15 years, and there you go.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah, it's really funny when you count it up. You're like, oh, that's a while ago. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm so glad you're here. We have met and you've done a lot of things in the edtech world. I think when we first met, you were working at Brain Pop, which is awesome. And we even presented together on Brain Pop and Breakout over the years. And then we worked together as board members on the EdCamp board, the EdCamp Foundation. So that was incredible. And now you have not new role anymore. I think it's about 2.5 years, 3 years?
I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary
2 years.
in a few weeks. Yeah.
Awesome. And
I'm now at Stages Learning. So I pivoted from my 14 years at Brain Pop directly in Gen Ed and the EdTech lane to really prioritizing the special education lane. I really wanted to live the mission that all means all. So we really focus on specifically supporting kids with autism, but of course that bleeds into supporting lots of children that really need extra lift and extra help, and supporting the teachers that help them, right? The curriculum and professional learning, and it's been really exciting, and we're doing some fun stuff with tech too. So it's a win-win.
That's really great. Yeah, it's a great company, and obviously, I learned about it through you. Yeah. But it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I live with a person with autism, and I also was a special ed teacher myself. That's where I started in the classroom, and little did I know that I would be using those skills. I taught gifted and special ed at the same time, and I just remember, you said all is all. It's like kids are kids, and there's different needs and different things, but everyone's unique. So I love that. I love that as a mantra.
Thank you. I'm very excited about it and proud.
Awesome. Well, we'll dig into our questions. Our level 1 question here on the Game On podcast, obviously gaming is really important for us at Breakout. And I always like to ask the guests, what was a game that you played as a kid? And then what's something that you're playing now? And it obviously could be anything from a video game to hopscotch to Monopoly to whatever.
Okay, that's awesome. So at the risk of dating myself more than 15 years ago, a family favorite for my brother and I, believe it or not, was Pong.
That's awesome.
We also had an arcade back in early days, arcades that was walkable from our house that my brother and I would walk over to together and play Pac-Man and Frogger and Asteroid and all the oldies. I can't make this up. The name of the arcade was Good Time Charlie's, which cracks me up amazing. All the time. Isn't that amazing? Like such a retro name. So yes. Fond memories of growing up surrounded by games, super important. And then even more so right now, I'm completely obsessed with Down for a Cross. Have you heard of this?
I don't think so.
Okay, it's amazing. It allows my son is 27, in the spirit of the same theme. So he and I are able to collaborate on the New York Times crossword puzzle.
Yes, I actually just played this morning.
It's amazing. You did?
Yeah.
So we normally stick to Mondays because Monday is the easiest. Every once in a while I get crazy when we try to tackle a Tuesday or Wednesday. But yesterday we did Mondays of this week. We nearly every week do it together. It's really fun, like Google Docs and the New York Times. So we did it in under 8 minutes yesterday. I was
wow. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's so weird that you say that, because this morning it popped up through, I have Apple News, and they steal articles and different things from it, and they were like, play this new game, and I didn't even realize what it was, but that's what it was. That's so cool.
Yeah, and if they have more than New York Times, that's just what we do.
That's awesome.
And it's a blast, and I think quietly it's his help my mom's brain age well strategy. but it's a blast. We totally love it. It's so fun. I always toss in a few mom bombs on accident, but it makes it interesting for him. It's great.
I love it. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Very, very cool.
Thanks.
Awesome. Well, let's move into our level 2 question here. It's about history. So we mentioned obviously that you've had a number of different roles in the ed tech space, but everyone's got a unique origin story. So I'd love to hear yours, kind of what put you on the path that led you to be not only an ed tech leader, but, whether it be the role you're at now, but all the things you've kind of done along the way. Like, what was the spark that kind of brought you into this field?
Yeah, I mean, vulnerably and transparently, we all end up with life's speed bumps, so to speak, right? So sometimes out of hard times, interesting things evolve. So I was in the classroom, had taught, for a decade or so, had young children, and my mother actually passed away in the middle of my divorce. And so my origin story was me taking a year to kind of accept that reality, get my sea legs again, research how to pull off a PhD, which I thought would be a path toward more opportunity for my kids, more independence for us as a unit of 3. And honestly, that's kind of really what changed the face of my trajectory.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know what? We all face things. It's not unique to me, but it's how you handle them that really usually defines how you're going to control your destiny, right? What path you're going to chart. So I feel very blessed. I don't feel blessed that I went through those things, but we came out on the other side quite well.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I feel like, there's so many ways you could respond to that, but it's like to take those challenges and then all of a sudden turn it into an opportunity or chase that for yourself. I think that's just so incredible. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. What about, so let's see, like that was the history. That's the origin story. The next question I was going to ask you was about, this level 3 question is about challenges. And so obviously those are big challenges that you just mentioned and you work to overcome, but like maybe a different type of challenge, maybe something in the career or something that you had to learn or whatever. Like, is there a challenge that you kind of overcame that helped you kind of get to where you are now?
Yeah. So, yes, the hits just came coming for a little bit. I finished my PhD. I went to work for a really awesome company called ePals. I don't know if any of your listeners remember it, but it was this beautiful vision around connecting classrooms around the world through collaboration and language translation and emails. And so I was there for a couple of years. It was my first kind of non-protected job, right? I wasn't in the safety nest of a school system, and they let 40% of the company go. So I went on unemployment. I did the job search, and actually that is through that process, I reconnected with BrainPop. And really them kind of taking me under their wing. I'd been talking to them as I was finishing my PhD. I needed to be remote. There was some, trust that needed to be built. They had some leadership changes, and their new CEO came to me and said, "What's your dream job? We're going to make it happen." It was really cool. And we made it happen. It was awesome. So I'm eternally grateful for Dean Hyman, who was our COO at BrainPop, as well as Dr. Kadar, the CEO, because they trusted Kari from Kansas City to not live in the office in New York. And we kind of molded a position that was external facing so that I was, able to represent BrainPop for all those years and do lots of public speaking and make sure people were aware of our product updates and what we were doing that was reaching more and more kids every year. It was great.
That's amazing. And the trajectory that BrainPop's had is just, you and I have talked about this a lot. It's just been amazing. And now with the acquisition by Lego, it's just incredible. And you also were Moby, right? At all the conference. No, I'm just kidding.
I was too short to live inside of the Moby costume. I did do my one and only Facebook Live event was with Moby.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
One year I forgot. I think it was like 25,000 viewers or something bananas. It's really cool and exciting. And
that's awesome. That's really very cool. Yeah, my kids still like knowing that Moby's out there at those events.
My own children thought I was extra cool when I joined BrainPop.
Sure.
They were peak, BrainPop fan age, and were very excited that I was working for such a cool place.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, I think that's a great segue because everyone listening and everyone watching, can tell, and I know that you are an incredibly passionate person about all these different topics, and not only knowledgeable, but just really into it, and I think that that's one of those things that make people successful in this space, is that they live it and breathe it. So our level 4 question is about passion. And, what is something that you're most passionate about learning about right now? It could be something that you're trying to teach yourself. It could be something you're trying to teach to others or share with others, whether it be at work or through your product. But like, what are you really into?
Yeah, lovely question. Thank you for asking it, actually. I am really passionate about changing the mindset that special education is only something that special education educators should be paying attention to. Since joining Stages Learning a couple years ago and really rolling up my sleeves on the cause of our neurodiverse kids, and particularly our autistic children, like, the numbers have doubled in the last 10 years. So there's now 1 in 36 kids that are diagnosed with autism, which means mathematically, if you combine that with our teacher shortage, which is most significantly hitting special education educators, all of our educators are supporting these kids, right? It's not just a special education issue, and it's a societal issue, because they not only need more help when they're in the school system, but as they graduate and leave our district nests and our school nests, they are 8 times more likely to be unemployed, right? Like, it's, so my mission, my passion is bringing this perspective of someone who hasn't always been in the special ed lane. I was in the special ed lane, so I should correct myself. The school I taught the longest in, which was for 9 years, and I'm making my love voice because I loved it, was Prairie Star Elementary in Blue Valley School District in Kansas, a suburb of Kansas City. The time I was there, we had a special waiver from the state to be incentivized to be innovative around how we were including kids with special needs. We had lots of extra professionals and aides, lots of resources. It was literally rainbows and lollipops as far as creating really welcoming spaces for all of our kids, but with a particular emphasis on a variety, all of our little special ed babies. So coming to Stages was kind of a full circle moment for me, because I'd been in such a predominantly general education lane when I was at Brain Pop. So I feel like I have the right life experience to come back into a special ed focus that hasn't always been with my blinders on in special ed, to say, look, all means all, like, literally, we need to not just use the words, but we need to understand how to create accepting cultures in all of our schools and really society. So that's my mission. I'm excited about it. I'm very passionate.
I love it. I love it. How do you, like, besides the stuff you do at work, and this is not a scripted question, I'm just curious, like, how do you stay up to date with it? Is it conferences? Is it reading material? Is it just, working with experts? Like how do you stay on the forefront of that? Because I feel like, as you said, it's changed so much in 10 years, and I'm sure in the next 10 years, it's going to continue to evolve.
Absolutely. And I feel like it's one of those themes that I'm trying in all the ways you just mentioned. It's impossible to be all the way to the forefront. I have a coworker that also lives in Kansas City, Frankie Keatsman. She is the guardian for her adult brother, who is severely autistic and deaf. So she has been really cool and instrumental about inviting me to volunteer alongside her at different disability-focused events. So it's one thing I've done. I've also connected with Moira Stone Street. She's from Kansas City. She runs an autism-focused organization. So I'm trying to do a combination of reading, connecting with people that are living and breathing this work. And then we also have at Stages Learning, our CEO, one of her many degrees was a graduate education degree from Harvard. And so she has this really cool stable of phenomenal authors that write for our blog, and we're top 10 autism blog. So also reading the free resources that we put out is another way that I kind of stay on top of things. So
that's awesome.
I'm not there yet, but I'm trying to educate myself as passionately as I can so that I do right by, live in the mission.
Well, I love that. And, I totally agree with you. No one's there yet. A lifelong learner means you still haven't learned everything. Like that's the mantra. I love it. Yeah. I love it. No, that's super great. So we arrived at level 5, which is about advice, and obviously, I feel like I've even learned a bunch from you just in this last half hour or so. But what's the best piece of advice that you've gotten in your journey from education to your career in education?
The best piece of advice I got was from my father. I was trying to, raise the two young children, tackle the PhD, find the dream job, all the things. And he finally was like, pause button, Kari. You can have everything, just not all at once. Isn't that amazing?
Yep.
And it's so true, right? So that's really the best piece of advice that I've gotten, and it resonates with me, right? Like, yeah. So thanks, Dad. Appreciate it.
I love it.
Amazing.
Is that the piece of advice you would give? It's a two-part question, so I was going to say, what would be a piece of advice you would give to our listeners, many of whom are educators? Perhaps it's that, but perhaps there's something else that you'd like to share.
I talk to educators regularly that are curious about my transition from the classroom to Brain Pop to now Stages, and I'm always willing to take the time to have that conversation, open that door. I think it's really important that we support one another. So for those educators, I think it's important to remind you/them that they are in the driver's seat, right? Like, I think demographically, sometimes as educators, we came up through a K-12 structured system. We returned to make a difference, but we stayed in kind of a structured system where there are these systemic rules in place. And so sometimes we have to retrain our mind that you don't always have to follow all the rules that you're used to perceiving in this system. And that, and you're not going to try one time and experience success. If you're genuinely considering contributing to education from a different lens, whether that's at the State Department or in a business or at the university, or there's thousands of ways to contribute, right? Don't just try once. Like, you're in control, you're in the driver's seat, it's your destiny. No one else is going to do it for you, right? So be courageous and find your passion, tap into your passion, and go for it, would really be my advice.
I totally concur. I think that's certainly sound advice. It's we've seemingly had a lot of the same conversations with folks. I get emails all the time asking questions about transitioning, and just when we have job posts about changing over. So yeah, I think you're 100% right. Is be bold, be brave, and make whatever moves you need to. To follow your dad's advice. You can have everything. You just have to pick and choose how to get there and all those things. I think that's awesome. So, yeah. I mean, it was so great to get to sit down. You and I talk about breakout sometimes. We talk about, the space and just as friends, other stuff. But it's so nice to kind of pick your brain and also, just give the opportunity for you to share with both listeners and anyone who might find this on the interwebs later on, all this great kernels of ed tech advice and human advice, I think, is the other piece of it, which is awesome. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing. Yeah.
Congrats to you. I mean, your journey has been very inspirational to those of us. I am honored, genuinely, as you know, to be your friend. I've had so many people watch that ISTE keynote all those years ago that you blew the whole audience away.
Thank you.
Bananas. You've charted a very fascinating journey for yourself, and I am eternally grateful to call you a friend as well. So thank you so much for inviting me.
I wouldn't be here without friends like you. And I think that, again, thank you for the kind words. It's great to travel these paths together, because one of the best things about it is the people you meet and the things you get to collaborate on. So I'm excited about that. So thank you. So obviously you mentioned Stages Learning, stageslearning.com. Yes.
Yes, it is.
And then where else can people find you? I know you're active on LinkedIn and on different social networks, but where would you like people to connect with you if they want to reach out?
Yeah, awesome. I'm happy to share my email address.
Sure.
That's kind of bold. Kari, how do you spell my first name? Kari .Stubbs, how you spell my last name, at stageslearning, all one word.com. And yes, I'm also on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with folks there. I'm also on Twitter, although I'm confused by the X transition. So I'm on Twitter. I'm
Aren't
less
we all?
active than I was, and then I kind of gave up on Threads. So yes, LinkedIn and email are probably the safest.
Yeah. Yeah. They're hopefully in the mainstays for now. We'll see. Oh my
Exactly.
gosh. Well, awesome, Kari. Thanks so much for taking the time. It was really, really great to chat. And until the next time, everyone, game on.